All of these things are interconnected. I keep telling you, to get a complete picture and you only have dots, you have to connect the dots. And once you connect the dots, you see a vastly greater picture than you would have ever seen, just dot, 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 okay? So the article says this. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps took responsibility on Tuesday for missile attacks on Iraqi Kurdistan's capital of Erbil, claiming that it targeted bases of anti-Iranian terrorist groups. Early in the day, a security source in Iraq told Sputnik that several explosions occurred in Erbil near the U.S. Consulate General and Erbil International Airport. That airport is where the U.S. transits in drugs in and out and terrorists out. And this is where they use that as a deposit point, where they can transport ISIS to Afghanistan, to Jordanian soil, to Syrian soil, to Lebanese soil, anywhere around that. And then they'll be claiming to fight against ISIS, okay? And fight against terrorism, when we know that all of their outposts are breeding grounds for terrorism. But remember that this happens after two massive strikes on Yemen. And remember, Iran warned the U.S. and the UK and then deployed a destroyer to the region and warned them to tread carefully with their military operations. Okay, and as a matter of fact, give me 1 second, I'll pull up something too. And as the Iranian foreign minister was meeting with the Indian foreign minister, Iran issued a stern warning to the U.S. and the UK. Iran says war against Yemen must end. Now, after stating that, the IRGC launched a massive attack, and something that you didn't know, that some U.S. Navy SEALs went missing in that region after trying to seize what they claim were Iranian weapons. Now, I want you to understand this, because this is something that if you don't understand, you'll give the U.S. a pass. You'll give the U.K. a pass, okay? What they were trying to seize, say, for instance, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say those were Iranian weapons. Who in the hell gives them the right to do that? And look at the region where they were trying to seize it at. In the body of water where they were not trying to seize it off the coast of California or in the Gulf of Mexico or in the English Channel or off the eastern coast of the United States. They were trying to seize something that belonged to another nation near that nation's coastal waters or close proximity of that nation. They didn't have the right to do that, but they tried to, and some Navy SEALs have gone missing. Okay, so I want to direct your attention to something. Hold on 1 second. To show you how things are escalating. As a matter of fact, the UN, I think it was the Secretary General, said that things are escalating out of control. I've been telling you that this was coming. A regional war. I don't care what they say, a regional war is going to happen. It may not happen today. It may not happen tomorrow. But in a time frame that I have given to you, between now and sometime in 2025, there will be multiple wars. The MENA War, the Asia Pacific War, and then finally the U.S. versus Russia in Europe. Watch how these things play out. Come back after and tell me if I lied to you, okay? Now, there is something I want you to, man, these people lie so much they are rugs. Let me go to something. Now, I want you to see this because you're not going to believe this. So on January 14th, right, which was yesterday, an article comes out. Now, mind you, the United States has struck the Yemeni nation multiple times, and not to mention that there are still special forces of Israel, the U.S., and the UK illegally in Yemen. Illegally. Okay? So on January 14th, an article comes out on Russia Today. And the headline is this: U.S. denies seeking war with Yemen as new strike reported. Not old strike, but a new, meaning that there was a strike previous or prior to this one, okay? So we have to understand this. And I want to give out a shout out to my guy. Let me see. I thought I just saw him in the chat. Perseverance Chameleon. I thought I saw you in the chat. Shout out to you. Now, what is important about this? You guys bear with me, okay? Bear with me, because this is very important. This headline is U.S. denies seeking war with Yemen as new strikes reported. Okay, now let's go to the dictionary, the word or the phrase act of war. And we're going to use the United States and the Western world's viewpoints on what is an act of war. Because I don't want anybody to say that, Rashid, you embellished this, you lied, you just put your opinion on this. We're going to use theirs. So you go to Google and put in the word act of war, okay? I want you to do that if you can. And then it'll say people also ask, and then it says what is considered an act of war, all right? And it says an act of war or casus belli is an action by one country against another with an intention to provoke war, or an action that occurs during the declared war or armed conflict between military forces of any origin. You say, well, the United States and the UK have not declared war on Yemen, right? That's what you say. Under UN law, you know, the so-called international law, when a foreign nation threatens or follows through with the threat to use military action against a nation that has not threatened them, the security of their nation, that is an act of war according to international law. Okay, so let's look at this. It goes further. We go down a little bit. Follow with me. Then in the search, it says search for what is considered an act of war. And under that, it says an act of war or casus belli is supposed to be an action that justifies a military purpose. Stop right there. What is the United States and the UK saying? We're there to prevent ships from being hijacked by the al-Nusra, or not, excuse, the Houthis, excuse me, right? Now, the Houthis had already openly stated that they were only after preventing Israeli ships or ships that were heading to Israel to unload cargo and shipping. They did not target the U.S. They didn't target the UK. They didn't target Europe. They didn't target Africa. They didn't target Latin America. They didn't target China. They didn't target Russia. They didn't target Asia. They specifically and openly stated that their targeted goal was Israel, in support of Palestine and the Palestinians who are being slaughtered on a daily basis by the Zionist regime. So now the U.S. and the UK are stating that they are intervening, what? To prevent the Houthis from attacking ships that they never said that they would attack. Okay? What did that say? An act of war or a casus belli is supposed to be an action that justifies a military response. Huh? You see, that's the definition. So we see that America has committed an act of war, and while she's committing the act of war, while the UK is committing an act of war, guess what America says to the world? We're not up for escalation. We're not trying to start a war. So you mean to tell me selling your warships off my coast, shooting through my window, killing some of my family members, destroying some of my property, it's not escalation? It's not a declaration of war? Here we go. Now, it's very, very important we understand what I just said, because the next thing that comes up is this. What does the U.S. consider an act of war? Okay? An act of war means hostile or warlike actions whether declared or not, in a time of peace or war, whether initiated by a local government, or foreign groups, civil unrest, insurrection, rebellion, or civil war. So now, let us use what the United States considers as an act of war. An act of war means hostile or warlike actions, whether declared or not. So the United States declared that they're not up for escalation. And while the US and the UK are launching airstrikes on a sovereign nation that has not attacked them, that has not even threatened to bomb America, and they say that they're not up for war. Bizarro world, I tell you. Bizarro world. Well, up is down and down is up. In is out and out is in.